Good morning, Beckie. Rebecca?
Beckie.
Beckie DuShane. And we'll start off. Thank you for coming to do this because you are an important part of our congregation history. And even more important because you're coming from a certain department that's crucial to our congregation. So let's find out where you work.
I work in the finance office. I am Sarah Stoddard's assistant.
And what does that mean?
It means that any project that Sarah has, she gets to throw at me and I get to help her do it.
Every single project?
Every single one.
And you have to keep track of it all?
I try.
Uh-huh. What's the best thing about your job?
The variety.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. And the most challenging?
I don't have any particular duties. It's just all stuff that gets thrown at me. I don't really have a day-to-day routine.
So it's thrown right at you?
Yeah.
Literally?
Well, not quite, but...
You know how to sort it and keep it
Generally.
in order.
I just have piles.
How long have you been with us?
I just started my 5th year of employment.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
How did you hear about us?
Sarah was the treasurer at United Way. She was the board treasurer while I was the finance manager there. And I was looking for a new challenge. And when a position came open, Sarah thought, Beckie might work, and just kind of suggested it to me, and it all worked out.
So how did she describe your job? Just like it is?
I really don't remember.
But whatever it was, it was
intriguing, yes. It was a change of pace. It was something very different from what I had been doing. I had been doing day-to-day accounting, so this was very different.
Did you know anything about the campus or the Adrian Dominican Sisters?
I knew a little bit. Kathleen Shantz had been the director at United Way for about 3 years or so, and that's how I kind of got acquainted with the Adrian Dominican Sisters. Also, when I worked at hospice, Marcella Gardner was the bereavement director there.
Oh.
So I had a little bit of interaction with her for 2-3 years.
What a joy.
Yes. Sweet, sweet lady.
That must have been one of her last ministries.
It was. She had said something about she had been, I'm assuming in the DR, out in the mountains, and had hurt her ankle, and they sent her back here, and they wouldn't let her go back again.
Yeah. She was a little spunky woman, endearing to all of us.
Yes.
We had her when we entered.
Oh, really?
She was one of the ones that helped with our formation director. She was watched over us.
Nice.
Like we needed watching. Some needed watching. Well, that's nice. So you worked at hospice as well.
I did, yes.
And what were you there?
I started out as a receptionist, and I moved into the finance manager, did medical secretary in there somewhere, and I was there for about 7.5, 8 years.
Really?
Mm-hmm. A wonderful organization.
But it certainly is. But it wasn't in the building it is now, because that's a rather new facility.
Correct. Okay. Correct. We started out in the back of one of the big houses over by Frosty Boy, and then moved over to Mill Street and just kept growing from there, and they ended up building their own building eventually, which was the dream back in the early 80s when I was there, and they wanted their own building. They wanted an inpatient place, and they now have it. So
okay, well, let's leave hospice and come back to campus. But that is they're very involved here on campus.
Yes.
I want to say, sorry to say, but we're delighted that they are part of our women's life over there when needed.
Yes.
So you came to campus. You live around the area?
I live here in Adrian.
Close by?
Over behind the Y, so like 2 miles away.
Yeah, so you walk to work every day?
No.
I know I've seen you out exercising.
Yes, I do. Do the fun jogs, but I'm not competitive really.
So you've been here 5 years, and in those 5 years, you've seen changes.
Some, yes.
Can you tell us about the changes that you've experienced?
Of course, there's always staff changes, and that's always fun to go through. But
it's fun.
It is, because you get to learn new people.
Okay.
You get to meet new people, and you know everything changes just slightly every time there's a new person that comes in.
Right.
So it's those growing pains that every business always has.
Right.
But I think the most interesting one to me was when council changed and seeing that whole process take place.
You must have come in at the end of one council.
Yes.
And then this, or maybe half and half.
I think there was about 2 years of the former council.
Okay.
And
Okay.
then the new council came in. So
Mhm.
from the finance department, I went through, we have an annual review. Well, every 6 years there's also an annual audit, which is, well, much bigger than what the review is. So it's seeing the work of the review, and then it's seeing the work of the audit, and then seeing the council change in the middle of there and everything. And it was just interesting to see all those different processes.
When you first came to campus, what was that experience like?
Overwhelming. I came from always working in small businesses. Hospice was probably the largest I'd been in, and they were about 25 staff. And then United Way was 3 of us. And then I came here. And our staff, just the finance office is 10 people. So that was,
But then the complex, the whole
And then the whole complex, yes. It's just overwhelming. I still don't know where things are.
I know, I had to go get you. So, but when you first come, don't they take you through all the buildings?
Yeah, you remember that your
remember.
first day.
Yeah, so that's it. And you never went on a hunt afterwards to see?
Well, I had filled in for Sheila Young in transportation for a week.
Oh, you
And she
did?
runs to like 3 or 4 different locations around campus 4 or 5 times a day to pick up transportation slips. So I learned a lot of it that week that I filled in for her.
That's right, that's right. Uh-huh. And then you also have helped out in the literacy center.
Yes, I have.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they rent you?
They do.
Those different departments
Just
rent
farm
you?
me out. Those little
So-
projects that get
So
thrown
you
at
know
me.
where Weber Center is?
I do.
How do you spend your off time?
My off times is spent mostly with my family. My daughter has a little boy who's a year old, and he's just a blast.
He's darling, yes. And so do you ever go on vacation?
Not really. I do a lot of staycations where I stay home and do stuff around the house and that type of thing. And
You're a reader, if I remember
I am.
correctly. Yeah.
I spend a lot of time reading. My mom was an avid reader. My daughter is. I am. It's just something that's just kind of been
That's
trained.
because your mom was an avid reader.
Yes.
You are, and your daughter is because you were.
Yep.
What has changed the most, besides the council, every 6 years? What has changed the most on this campus?
Oh. I don't know. Probably the focus for sustainability, for, trying to protect the earth and that type of thing. I think that's the thing that I've seen and heard more about than anything lately. So just being aware of your environment around you and what you're wasting and what you're reusing and that type of thing.
How has that been for you? Has that been part of your lifestyle? I mean, to be looking at the earth and to be sustainable?
Not as much as I'm aware of it now. Years ago, they started, the big promotion of recycling and that type of thing. And yeah, you hear about it, but if you don't really pay attention, you don't do that much with it. I am consciously doing more of that now just because I hear about it all the time, and it makes you
Right.
think, I should be doing this.
And there's lots of input, but you don't get to it.
No.
You can't even put it on your on your TV. I mean, on your computer.
Input as far
some
as-
of the live streaming that they have during the day.
I really don't get time to do it. Yeah.
Well, we'll have to do something about that. The treasure. Sneak a half hour in there. We'll cut that out of the thing. Okay, so anything else you'd like us to know about you?
I just thoroughly enjoy being here. It's a wonderful community. I think that the whole concept of the way the sisters live and everything is it's really remarkable. It's a giant family, and you have all of the wonderful dynamics that come with every family. And it's...
You think?
It's just great seeing how everything works together.
That's great insight. Why did you say that?
It's just the way I see it.
Very good. Very good. Great insight. You're absolutely right. We struggle with many of the same things that every other family does. So if you were allowed to go someplace, any place you wanted to, where would you like to go? I mean, money was not an issue.
Money was not an issue. I've always wanted to go to Hawaii, of course.
Not now.
No, not right now. Not with the
Right.
floods and the volcanoes and all of that. But I always thought that would be beautiful to see.
Right.
My daughter and I love Disney. It'd be a blast to take Riker and have him see Disney for a first experience.
Oh, that's right. It would be.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. Maybe someday.
Good, good. Well, Beckie, thank you very much for coming to share who you are and your ministry here. And you are an important part, as I said at the beginning, of our history. And in the name of the congregation, I thank you for your service. I thank you for coming, for your positive attitude and your welcoming spirit. Whenever I go into that office, you never seem to be irritated or not welcoming, which is very, very important. You know, finance is always a hot topic, but you're very approachable. It means a lot to us if we have to see Sarah.
Thank you.
And you let us know if Sarah's not good to you.
Sarah's great.
It's nice getting to know you, so thank you again for your service to the congregation.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.